Hey guys, it's Whitney. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have fall corn and a random pumpkin I threw in. Cute little DIYs. I love how they all turned out. I had some of these supplies for ages. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think they turned out good, so I just wanted to share these with you. I also asked at the last minute because I know I'm still doing fall stuff because you guys, I'm just not ready to let it go. So I made this one earlier in the week, and then I asked everybody on Instagram and on YouTube, do you guys want to see a video? Those of you who answered said yes, so I recorded more. So what we're going to need to make some is going to be these corn husks. I got this at the grocery store. My local Smith's, also known as Kroger to some of you, and if you're not from that area of the States, then wherever you got your grocery store. These are painted football. They're obviously, you can see they're footballs, but they're painted wood pieces, part of the wood pile, so that's Hobby Lobby. And I had to use those because those were the perfect shape. Then these wooden beads here, when I saw them, it just immediately reminded me of the ornamental corns that you buy at fall, and that I buy at fall periodically. Put them out on the table year after year. Then we've got some 6-inch wide burlap from Michael's, some Dollar Tree twine, and Waverly chalk paint in maize. How appropriate is that, guys? Maize. Maize chalk paint because I'm making corn. Shocker. So the wood pile here, the larger one says 99 cents and the small one says 79 cents, and I didn't pay that much. You guys know Hobby Lobby always has sales going on from time to time, so obviously I got those on sales. Now again, for these corns, I've had this project sitting in a bag for probably about, this would be the second year. But I know Hobby Lobby still sells these items because I've been to Hobby Lobby multiple times since purchasing these items, and I've seen them there. Otherwise, if you can't find the exact beads that I bought at Hobby Lobby, then any bead will do. Just a wood bead. It doesn't necessarily have to have the indents in it, but these beads, when I saw them, were like perfect. They just fit the bill. About 4 bags, and I only ended up using 2. So I've got 2 small footballs and 2 large footballs. I basically gave them 2 coats of paint with the chalk paint. The first one I painted all over, and I didn't really need to once I assembled it, and I figured out I'm covering the entire back of it with burlap and corn husks, so don't really need to do anything but paint the tops and the edges. And even then, these edges are being hidden. This is a new little hair dryer I bought off of Amazon. It's very inexpensive. It's a travel hair dryer because the heat gun was getting too hot. Heat guns are meant to remove paint as far as I'm concerned, so every heat gun I have is too hot, and a lot of them online have reviews of starting fires, so I kind of said, let me stop and let's just use a hair dryer for now, because you can get even the lowest setting, it gets warm enough, puts out enough air, everything dries. So I put 2 coats of paint on both of those girls. Now we're going to start the beads. I said I only used 2 bags of the 4 that I bought. I think it was like $3.50 a bag, but again, Hobby Lobby has, I don't think I've ever bought anything full price at Hobby Lobby, but they probably had a sale that day too. And honestly, I don't think I bought these on the same day. I think I bought the beads knowing that I wanted to do something for fall in ornamental corn idea, and then I needed the base, and I went back later and found those footballs and used that idea. So basically I sorted them out. The bags of beads have 2 different sizes, small and large, and I had to separate them out, so I got the washi tape at Dollar Tree, so I put it at the end of my Dollar Tree twine. Geez, sorry guys, lost my train of thought. My Dollar Tree twines, that way I can thread the beads on. So I'm just threading these beads on. Some of the beads had smaller holes in them, so I'm using one of these little tools. It's like a dotting tool. I've seen people use it in nail art and many other things, but just to make that hole bigger, kind of widen them out, and then I can just keep threading the beads on. Now I threaded these beads on just literally continuously, and then I would lay them on the piece to see if they covered correctly. Once they did, I would cut them and then put double knots on either side, so you see all these here. So you can see that they'll curve when you put them on there, but I was just trying to count because for the small ones I needed 3, and for the large ones I needed 3 longer beads. Some were 18. I'm not going to give you counts of the beads because if you don't get the same beads, it doesn't matter. But if you can see here, I strung all these beads on in specific amounts. You can see a number here in a set with a space, and then that's going to go in the middle of the big one, then there's a space, but I just kept pushing them down the twine. So I never cut the twine on the other end. I was using my working end where that tape was, which you'll see me cut that washi tape off now because we're ready to cut all these into the pieces for the lengths of twine I want. Now I specifically left the twine on the end, the opposite end longer, because I like it to look like the what is it, the silk? I guess you call it the silk in the corn at the very top that sticks out. So I mean it's as close as I get. So obviously the bottoms are shorter, but then the tops have a longer piece of twine. It's just my own little creative genius, I guess. And so I'm just here counting, making sure I had the right ones. I did 2 large ones, so I had to string out 6 of the longer amounts of beads for those 2 large ones. And then for my shorter one, it has 3 long ones, but then also I filled in the middles with the large beads. On our big footballs here for the larger corns, I ended up filling them in with our little small beads, and I ended up using a new glue product that I bought online, so I'll be showing you guys that shortly. So this is just tying the knots on both ends. So I basically did a double knot on both sides for all of them. Set them on top of the project that they were for. Made sure, of course, that I had my counts right, my measurements were right. But other than that, it was one of those things where you just put something on, and whether it's music or a TV show or something or a movie, just something for background noise, and then you just get to beading. So here's all my pieces are done. So now I'm ready to start gluing. Everything I kind of laid out with a little bit of purpose. I mean, I knew how I was going to do the small one since I'd already made one previously. And I was just gluing them down. So I was putting them in a curved pattern so that the beads follow the curve. If you just lay them flat, they're not going to follow that curve. You got to make sure that you put your glue down in a curve first. And so for the center one, that one, you'll see me put the glue down in a straight line. And then the middle guys there, I had to put in a curve also to keep that done. So I made sure I put my glue straight in the middle on the small one. And then when I'm putting these other 2 on, I put my glue in a curve because there's not much room to work in there. So I curved my glue, if you can see there, so that the middle piece still follows the outer edge too, and you can get that idea that it's a corn. And I think they're so cute. I love how it turned out. It looks so classic. Like I've decorated in my family. I grew up with ornamental corns all over the place in kitchens and on tablescapes. Look how cute that is. So as a kid, I'm just used to seeing the ornamental corn at fall and Thanksgiving on the Thanksgiving table and stuff. Now with the larger footballs here for the larger corns, doing it the same way we did the small one. So we're putting the glue down in a curve on both sides, and then for the center we're going to do it straight. You can try to line your beads up however you're comfortable with. I was just making sure I had enough space at the top and the bottom for at least a bead to fit in. And so here's the straight line of glue right down the middle, and then I'm just placing that middle piece straight down on top of that straight line of glue. And then my idea here is to fill in the middle with the small beads. Now I bought some Starbond, guys. This Starbond adhesive is amazing. I got a medium hold. Actually, I got a starter pack of a whole bunch of different ones, thicknesses and strengths. So right now I'm using just the medium thickness, and I'm just putting down a whole bunch of it. This is my little test spot. You'll see me do a small little spot. Then I'm pouring the small beads on it, and it's just letting it stick in there. And then this little spray you see me do, that's an accelerant. That's like a little wonderful little not concealer. It's like it makes it permanent. It just dries it immediately, makes everything permanent. And I was just testing it out because I hadn't used it. I've seen other YouTubers use it, other crafters use it, and in the world of crafting, patience is a virtue, and I usually have none of it. So I saw somebody else using this, and it immediately dries it. Because you guys, if I had filled that in with hot glue and then put those beads in it, you would see the hot glue, and it would be hideous. It would just look really bad. So this stuff dries clear, and actually almost looks like it's forming like into a hard plastic. Those beads aren't coming off of there. It also is reinforcing the larger beads on every side. So I just filled in the second side with the medium hold adhesive, and then I used the spray accelerator right over top of those, and it's an immediate hold. Nothing comes off. So here I'll try to show you, like, nothing's coming off there, and then if you see up close, It doesn't leave a residue. It didn't dull the beads. It didn't make them super shiny. It was like perfect. It was like the most... That's an awesome adhesive, guys. It's awesome. So now we're going to actually construct our cute little corns here. So we're going to take our husks, and I'm going to find a good placement for as much as I want it to stick out the top. And then if you're like me, you forgot to put the stick on, so you're pulling it up. Now this stuff is going to crack and break, and that's normal. Let it happen. That's just how it goes in the world of crafting. And also, it's a corn husk, so it's going to break, it's going to fray, it's going to, you know, just tuck pieces in, move things around. I'm cutting the base off because we're going to wrap burlap around it. Then we're going to put another layer of corn husk, so I'm just trying to save some of the thickness. But literally, it's just kind of layering and layering with glue, husk, glue, burlap, glue, husk. You know, it's just a layering process to get it to look like it's being hugged. So I pulled out the burlap because now we're ready to do that piece. I'm sorry this is out of frame. I zoomed in on this video so you could see more of my workspace and wasn't paying attention to the fact that I was still working in my same space, but it had cut off the top of it. So I'm very sorry half of this, you guys, is not even in frame. A couple points, I realize that, and you'll see me move forward, but like a goofball, I wasn't concentrating on the fact that you guys probably would like to have seen the whole thing, not just half of it. So in any event, you saw me cut the burlap at a diagonal because I like the way it looks. It looks kind of like the leaves. Some of the leaves on corn is always comes to a point off to one side. So I cut it at a diagonal, wrapped it around the base, just glued it loosely, of course, burnt my fingers a bunch, and then now we're putting another piece of corn husk on the back. So this is going to help with the, you know, all the holes and the see-through parts of the burlap so that you're able to actually get a good, you know, adhesion to the other corn husk and the other burlap, because it is really just a mess of layers of glue, burlap, and corn husk, all of which are porous and all of which will burn your fingers multiple times. Lastly, after we do that, I've got my Dollar Tree twine, say that 5 times real fast, Dollar Tree twine, tied it in a knot, and I'm currently wrapping it around the base of the stem and the stick I put in, but you can't see it because, once again, Goofball has it out of frame. Sorry, guys. So I'm literally just wrapping it around the base, kind of just making it into its own cute little, I don't know, bundle of twine wrappings. I'm doing good with the sentence making, aren't I, guys? Anyways, I wrapped it around enough so that by the time I got around to the other side, the piece that I tied it on with, I used that to finish it off, and then just tied a double knot. I'm leaving those tails there because I'm going to make basically another twine bow, wrapping it around my fingers, cut another piece of twine, then wrap that around the middle of the ones on my fingers, creates a small little bowl. You can fluff it if you want, do a double knot on that too. And I have a video I previously did that shows more in depth on that if you guys need to know how to make those bows. Those are like the fastest, easiest, cutest little twine bows. So literally just glue it down on top of the pieces that you wrapped at the base, and you're done. That's really about it. Look how cute it is. I love it. She's so cute. Oh, and then of course I split the back on it just because it was looking a little bit too perfect, because, you know, we're not making tamales. We want this to look like it's been out in the field all day, or at least for 10 minutes. So here's me saying, you know, I got a little bit of glue down there at the bottom that you could see, and I wasn't happy with it because the burlap was like really not sticking, and then I was using my finger and I was using my silicone little spatula there, and it just wasn't working out. So this is me just literally taking pieces and trying to fix the issue. So here, I'll just let you guys watch me fix this issue. Look how cute that is, right guys? It turned out so good. Couldn't be happier. And these are good for arrangements, but you could also put them in potted plants. You could put them in many other things. It's not just, you know, just to lay out for anything. But so now here is the large one. Now this is done very, very similar, obviously, to the smaller corn. The only difference is you're going to use more corn husk and you're going to use 2 pieces of burlap. That's really the only difference. So you'll see me place, again, the first corn husk down without putting the stick on it again, Whitney. This time I just glued it to the top. So let's just, instead of ripping this apart, let's just put it back here. We'll put some other pieces on it and we'll just secure it a different way, but it's fine. So I just put another corn husk over it and little pieces of corn husk, and then we're cooking again. It's fine. What do you say? We're cooking with grease. Whatever. So here's the burlap. So I already had the diagonal cut from before, and I know I need 2 pieces because this is much wider. So I just folded it in half after I basically gauged how long I want it. So now I got the 2 pieces, but I want the diagonals to go opposite ways. So cut the piece in half, flip one over, and now I've got a corner going, or a diagonal going each way. And now I've got what I like to say is almost the effect of the corn leaves, and that's the part that I love, is that burlap peeks out and it just gives you that cute little crafty idea that this is a little piece of corn. Love it so much. And the rest of it is the exact same, guys. I'm just folding them over and wrapping them around the base of the corn, getting things glued down so that it all is secured. Now, again, burnt my fingers a few times, but when don't I? It would be an odd day if I didn't burn my fingers, right? I mean, at least I'm using a spatula this time, but still, it is what it is. I'm nothing if not predictable about sticking my finger in liquid hot magma. I know that's going to be hot. Let's try touching it anyways, right, Whitney? Yeah, no. Anyways, on this one now, again, I'm like shredding or bending the pieces at the top so that they put cracks and creases and crevices in it to make it look like it's weathered, even though it's not, obviously. But I'm just using multiple pieces on the back, so I'm just going to kind of layer them first before I put them on, just to make it wide enough. And then you'll see me just patch in the glue and then start just finding a way to make sure that it's kind of all wrapped around, like it's all being hugged in all of its cute fall burlappy goodness. So I'll leave you guys to watch me finish out that. And this one, again, it's pretty much the same as the other, gluing them all down. Then I'm going to wrap the twine around the bottom and make another little twine bow and secure that around the stem or the stick, whichever. And then that's about it. Then we'll be on to our little pumpkin. I can't wait to show you guys the pumpkin. It's so cute. And once again, I love how it all turned out. They look super cute, just kind of sitting in any type of arrangement. Now I used a wooden stick. If you could use plastic or something like that, you just need something to secure the bases to, like a stem, and then you use it to put into your flower arrangements, or it could be like a cute little garden stake. You could put them in anything. Now here, guys, here's my random little surprise. It's a pumpkin. Of course, I'm not ready to let go of fall. I'm really not. I'm sorry. So we got a Dollar Tree pumpkin, and we've got Dollar Tree nautical rope. We've got a garland, not garland, but it's just a big long garland of pip berries. I got this probably craftoutlet.com many moons ago. And then these guys here, because I'm never able to find them at Dollar Tree, I bought these on Amazon. They're little wood stems. I got 40 pieces for $11.98, so I did the math and had to write that down right there so I'll never forget. They're about 29 cents a stem. So starting with the pumpkin, cut the tag off, and normally this, take the stem out. I'm not going to use that ever. And I usually paint the construction orange pumpkins, but in this instance I am going to wrap the nautical rope around this pumpkin in excess so you won't be able to see it. So this one I'm actually excited to, because the drying time on painting these pumpkins, and the pumpkins, it takes like 2 to 3 coats sometimes to get all that orange to disappear. Now I heard a lot of people this year found white ones and black ones during Halloween. Never saw them at my Hobby Lobbies. I'm sorry, never saw them at my Dollar Trees. So it'd be nice if I've seen them online. I saw them in other videos, but I've never seen them here locally in my Dollar Trees. But in any event, I just grabbed my nautical rope and I placed it down. I left the tape on the end. Now I had a subscriber in one of my last videos tell me, because I was having a problem on trying to find a way to get that Dollar Tree rope to not fray, so it wouldn't be like, literally you cut it apart and the first thing it does is just split open and then you can't stop it. So I left the tape on. Now she mentioned to me in my comments in my video that leave the tape on and then cut it off once you glue it down. Thank you so much. I'm going to look up right now to find out who that was in that video. I gotta find my YouTube account here, guys, and switch. That was the most helpful. That's why I love asking. If you guys have tips or tricks or suggestions, put them in the comments. I learn from you just as much as you guys tell me you learn from me. Excuse me. She helped me so much. This was so enjoyable once I tried this out when I got here. I glued it down at a part where there wasn't tape on the end of that nautical rope. And so once I let the glue harden and dry completely, then I came back to it. And you'll see me come back to it right here. I'm gonna bend that piece up and I'm cutting it right up against the pumpkin, sort of at a diagonal. So I'm cutting off the taped end, and it didn't fray because the piece underneath it had already been glued. And thank you so much for that. I would have never thought that. It seems like a simple, easy thing to think of, but had she not helped me with it, I would not have been able to do this on my own. So I'm gonna look up her name real quick. I'm gonna give her props in this video because that was the most helpful thing. And I can't thank you enough. So 1 second, I'm gonna look up the name on my comments. One moment, guys. Okay, I found it. It was Sue Peterson from my video, and you guys can see that it'll be linked at the bottom or at the end of the video. It's from my video, two fall Dollar Tree DIYs. I had asked for tips or tricks on that Dollar Tree rope, and Sue messaged and mentioned in my comments a good tip on how to get that to not happen. Usually she said Scotch tape about a 1/2 inch. And let me tell you, Sue, thank you so much, because this turned into such an enjoyable project, because the transitions in the ropes were usually like the parts that I needed to cover on that previous project, because it just looked horrible, and then I was trying to save it with glue, and then the glue made it worse, and it was just getting like to the point where it's like I can't rip this apart and start over because it's glued down so much. But literally that Scotch tape was a lifesaver. And since I'm using all of the rope all the way, the rope is already glued when you take it out of the packaging from Dollar Tree. Now, these are 8-foot links that I purchased. Now, again, it's not always right. Dollar Tree stuff never matches up, and it's never the right length, but here we're coming again to the next one. I ended up using almost 3 full bundles of the 8-foot rope from Dollar Tree. What's left at the end of the third one technically is more than half. It's more than 3/4, so I'll just say I used 3 of them to cover this one pumpkin. So I glued it down, and then I bent it back because it was already taped on the one end, and then I cut diagonally up from where it was glued at, and it didn't fray. Now the same thing, I'm starting where I'm gluing down the piece that doesn't have tape on it. Now I'm letting it cure, and then I'll bend it back, and then cut diagonally back towards the other piece. And the transition is almost seamless. You can't really see it. Also, this nautical rope's a little forgiving too. It's got all kinds of bits of, different strands and a little bit of coloring, and it kind of frays a little bit, and it's got little hairs all over it. But it was the best best suggestion in the world. They made the project so much more enjoyable to do. So of course I put music on. You guys saw me mess with my phone. Here's the end. Now I slowed this down to real time so you guys can see what I was doing here. Don't cover the entire pumpkin all the way up. I left a decent amount of room in here because we need to put the stem on. So I wanted to make a hole, but I don't want to make a hole all the way through like a gigantic one, because then the stem's going to fall through it, because these little pumpkins here are hollow. So I'm just kind of making a little bit of like an X marks the spot in the middle with my X-Acto knife, but it wasn't really working out to the way I wanted. So I cut in enough to make a decent amount of a hole in the middle that I could get a pair of like needle nose in. So I got my little craft pliers out, and you'll see me just place the smallest in there, and then I'm just kind of pulling small pieces out. I don't want to make a huge hole, remember? I just want to make it big enough to where I can fit the stem in, and the stem won't fall through. Because, I mean, we need the stem to secure to the styrofoam a little bit, and then we're going to end up rolling that rope all the way around up to the stem, and then it'll be adhered to the stem. The rope will get adhered to the stem, and that will also help hold it in too. So these little guys aren't exactly like the ones you can get at Dollar Tree. Now those things I've heard are pretty special. If you find those at Dollar Tree in your area, you grab them, because they're all different sizes. Now these are all pretty much almost identical. It's like they found a tree that had no imperfections and just cut all of its sticks in the perfect size. They're a little bit over 2 inches each. I was just measuring down there for you guys to see. They're all the same bark. There's no variation in colors, and all of the pieces are like perfectly cut. But again, for what I needed, and I was not able to find those other cute ones at Dollar Tree out here for the last 2 years. I have seen those online, and I have never seen them here in my Dollar Trees in Las Vegas. If you guys are lucky enough to see those, I salute you. I'm happy that you guys were able to find them, because I've wanted to do so many things with them. So I just bought these online. Now again, at Dollar Tree, you're not getting 40 pieces. I bought 40 pieces. I didn't have a choice. But trust me, I will be putting them to good use. You can also, line the bottom of a candle with these things to make things rustic, which maybe you might see that in a future DIY for Christmas. Who knows? So in any event, just load up the bottom of that thing with some glue. Pop it in the hole. Now I was pushing it down, but not so far to pop it all the way through, because we don't want the stem to fall through the whole pumpkin. So now I'm just going to hold it here for a little bit. Now, as I was editing this and putting this together, I noticed it kind of looks like that stem is wobbly. It's because in my experience when I was making it, it wasn't solid, and when I'm looking at it here, it kind of looks like it's wobbly, like it's not being secured, but it's in there. The hot glue dried against the pumpkin and the stem, and it's good. So when I'm putting the rope against it, the rope is just a reinforcement, and it's like, you can see like right there, my glue gun bumped the stem and it kind of moved over a little bit, but it's a longer stem, and there's only like not even a 1/4 inch of styrofoam that it was glued to, so it didn't have much support. But once I get the rope placed all the way around it, then we're good to go. And then also we're going to put in a whole bunch of goodies, guys. We're going to add ribbons and tendrils, which are the little pit berries, and then I end up throwing a little bit of moss in there. So this thing's not going anywhere. So here's where I needed to cut it, but then it's like, wait a minute, Whitney. We're not at a transition. You need to get yourself some tape. In the process, my foot got stuck on the cord of my glue gun. My glue gun shot off the table onto the floor, hit me in the foot. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, guys, I didn't get glue anywhere. I didn't burn myself, but I sure did scare myself. And if there was actual audio on this, you may hear a yelp and a bit of a inappropriate word, but we won't talk about that. So I had to go get my masking tape, because I'm going to cut this off, and I don't want it to fray on either side. Excuse me, mainly just the side that I'm going to be leaving there, so I can use this piece for the next project, and it won't literally be already, coming apart. So here's where I got it taped, and I'm going to put my head in the way of the camera so you can't see what I'm doing. Great, Whitney. But I'm going to cut it at a diagonal, and what I do is I want to cut it diagonally so that the longest part is on top as I'm pushing it down into the glue, so it just literally wraps around the stem. Hindsight 2020. It doesn't matter, because we're going to cover most of it with all kinds of good stuff. But once you see me finish this and I show you guys, I show the camera when I'm done, it's cute by itself. It doesn't almost need anything. And that nautical rope added so much weight to it that, you know, those little styrofoam pumpkins are literally like so they're like popped air, like the old air poppers, like popcorn. There's nothing to them. That nautical rope added enough weight that it was a nice little solid piece. It was really, really surprising how cute this turned out with just literally $4 so far put into it. $4.30 is what you're looking at right now. So cute. So absolutely cute. So now I'm going to make you watch me put my stuff away. Okay. And look how cute. Nope, hold on. Here's my little trick. This should have been cut out, guys. Sorry. Fold over your tape, guys. That way you don't lose it. Let's put our scissors away. Now we'll show you guys. That's cute on its own, isn't it? I love it. I love that little base. It's so cute. So now we're back to 3 times the speed. You don't need to see the slowness. Let's add some stuff. Now some finger bows I had already made previously on my other video. You'll see I had a little plethora. I'm going to pick one of the twine bows I had already made at a different project it ended up being a little bit too big for, and a finger bow I made previously during practice. So I'm going to start with making my tendrils out of the pitberry garland. I'm going to cut off a piece that I think is just long enough. Take a guess. I'm going to wrap it around a pencil, a dowel. I happen to have had an extra glue stick nearby. Then I push them together and they slide right off the glue stick, and you've got the cutest little spiral for tendrils for your pumpkins. It's the cutest thing ever. So here I'm going to flatten it, bend it in half technically, and flatten one of the curls out so that I can take that and stuff that into between the stem that we put in and the rope. So then now it's more secure, and you're going to see me, I kind of like need to shove it down in. I was trying to get it into the styrofoam. A couple of the little berries came off, but guess what? We're saving that because we're going to put them on another. Here is the Dollar Tree Spanish moss. We're just putting a very tiny amount on both sides. Again, because nothing is complete without, you know, Spanish moss. I used to just really hate on it and I never used it. I use it so much now, I guess I can't say that I hate it anymore because I use it so much. The rest of this is just placing our bows on. So now I'm gluing on the bow. That's the twine bow that I previously made. And then on top of the twine bow, we're going to glue the little finger bow. Here. I'm placing a couple of those little pit berries that fell off. I'm just kind of tucking them in under the bow right there. So here I'm getting ready. That one's a little bit too big, so this one's perfect. I'm gluing this one down on top of the twine bow. And then you're going to see me place the little pit berries in. I literally just take them and I push them into the end of my glue gun. I don't push any glue out. The glue that's already in there is I just hit the tips right into the hole of the opening of the glue gun and then tuck them in there. Then I'm cutting off the tails and she's done. I love this. This one I think is obviously my favorite pumpkin, and I don't know why. It's so simple, very rustic, and you can still see the little indents from the pumpkin on it when I'm holding it. I just love it. It's so cute. You guys tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments. And there she is. She's so cute. Love it. So thank you guys if you've lasted this whole time with me. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you showing interest and spending your time with me. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you're new here, welcome. Consider liking and subscribing. It's free and it helps my channel get noticed. It helps me get suggested to more people so I can get more views. I have a Ko-fi page should anyone want to send any donations my way. It's linked in the description below as well as the first comment. And anything I purchase off Amazon will also be in the comment below. I am an Amazon associate, so I get a small commission that also helps me maintain my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much again. And, hugs and happy crafting. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.